Hey guys, hey, welcome back to the Smooth Live Show with your host Paul Toothpick Scurry and the great man Patrick Yandall on the screen. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So before I do an intro on Patrick, what I'd like to just ask our guests and viewers to jump on and press the subscribe button and to hit the notification so you know what's going on. Be sure to check out our socials on Facebook and Instagram at SmoothJazz.Melbourne. Success has populated your career through interesting avenues, Patrick. Your song, Who's the Bossa Now, from Samoa Soul, was used in the political satire film War Inc. Very interesting. Starring John Cusack and Marissa Tomei. Your music has been featured on television and news broadcasts as well as the Weather Channel. Tower of the Soul stayed in #1 for 5 weeks straight. That's a Smooth Jazz Now top 3 charts and also #1 on the Live 365 Smooth Jazz radio charts. Grammy considerations in 2016, 2017 and 2018. Welcome, Patrick Yandall. Great to have you on the Smooth Live Show.
Thanks for having me, Paul. Appreciate it.
How you doing, man?
Good, man. Just chilling out here in San Diego. So just trying to stay cool. Actually, it's been really hot.
Yeah, so they're saying like you're hitting some big temperatures there. You're getting around about the 100, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Not nobody here in San Diego is used to it, but we're getting through it. No big deal.
Well, I did a quick early post just to say, hey, listen, we've got an hour before we welcome Patrick Yandall in, and I've got a really nice, 13 degrees here in Melbourne. The blue sky's outside, so it's lovely. So, sensational. But again, thanks so much, mate. San Diego's finest, easy grooving San Diego vibe. That's how that's how the critics are describing you. And what a pleasure it is. And I have to say, we were just chatting before we went live, Patrick, that, 2006 on Live 365, when I first started some online radio broadcasting, I had some music in that time. So, 14 years later, here we are on the Smooth Live Show, man. So you're looking good.
I think time goes by, doesn't it? It goes by so fast.
It does that. But so you landed in Bay City, Michigan, 6th grade, a trumpet player.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. Like, Michigan of all places.
Yeah, my dad was in the military, and he got stationed there as an advisor to the National Guard. So we moved. Actually, we were in San Diego when I was real young, and we went out there and to Bay City where the National Guard was stationed, and that's where I really grew up. I actually started 4th grade there, and that's where I started trumpet for a couple of years until I discovered guitar. And my dad was a musician for the Army, so he had a bunch of instruments laying around, and I really gravitated towards the guitar after probably a year and a half of trumpet. It was more fun, and I could play the music that I was into at that time. Right.
And I mean, do you play around with the trumpet like at the moment, or it's just purely much put that away into the closet?
That was in the closet, got sold. Once I got into guitar in like 6th grade, I really stuck with it. I actually started playing clubs when I was in 9th grade around Michigan. At these, I was supposed to be of age, but this older bunch of guys hired me as the guitar player, and I started touring around Michigan with them and playing these clubs. And a lot of clubs that knew my age, they wouldn't allow me to be in the club on breaks, so I had to go sit outside on breaks and then come back in and play.
Right. Yes. Well, I was going to ask. I've sort of put it down that is that a prerequisite for a muso? Obviously, in your teens to go and play clubs.
Yeah, it was a weird. I missed out on a lot of high school experiences and stuff, but I just enjoyed it. There were times when I wanted to not do it and just be a regular high school student, but I got into music really early and playing guitar, and I still got to enjoy high school. I played some sports and some other things, but most of the time it was playing music either at high school or in the clubs at night. And some of those nights were during the week, so I was kind of groggy for classes, later on in the week, like Thursdays and Fridays. Sometimes I was a little out of it at school.
Right. Yeah. You fell in love with progressive styles, Jimi Hendrix, yes, Steely Dan, George Benson, and even some R&B flavors, like Stevie Wonder and so on.
Yeah.
How's it how shaped you? I mean, and what sort of where do you think you've gone, or who would be some of those names today that would heavy influenced you in your music styles?
Definitely the ones you mentioned. Just because when I was a kid, I really had a pretty good ear, and thanks to my dad being a musician, I could pick up songs very quickly. So again, playing in those bands, ninth grade on up in these clubs, I would learn these songs, but I could learn stuff, by Aerosmith or even some of the Hendrix stuff. I could learn it very quickly and play that out. So as I got a little older, I got into other music that was challenging, and not that Hendrix wasn't challenging, but some of the Steely Dan stuff is like, okay, now you need to study some theory to play that stuff and play it correctly. And that's how my progression came. And yes, I had an older brother that was very into the British rock. And so, Yes and Clapton and all that stuff really turned me on to that. But yes, with that classical rock and progressive rock, that was tough stuff to learn. And so again, I learned it and had to study it, and it was a challenge. So that's how I got in that kind of music. Hence, all that stuff kind of had a jazz influence. Like Steve Howe from Yes was very jazz oriented with a lot of Wes Montgomery licks. And that got me into Wes Montgomery. My dad also got me into Wes Montgomery and Chet Atkins and stuff like that. So again, that's kind of how I progressed especially on guitar.
If I jumped it forward as part of my notes, I would ask you, who would you listen to today? Like, did you listen to some music? I mean, was it your own music? I mean, who would you pick?
A lot of guys. The Brecker brothers were a big one for me, and it was an honor. He played. Randy Brecker played on one of my albums in 2005, From the Ashes, or 2006, and I actually recorded it out in New York at Tony Bennett's studio in New Jersey. Wow. And Brecker came in, and Will Lee, and a whole bunch of cats that I grew up kind of listening to. So that was a big deal for me. But Brecker brothers, guitar players, Alan Holsworth. A lot of the fusion cats, Frank Gambale, that played with Chick Corea. Tommy Emmanuel was a huge one. I actually did a show with him here in San Diego, and for KIFM, and guys like that. It's been ongoing. There's guys I really gravitate towards too, and try to add some of their stuff into my playing. And it's a lifelong pursuit of just trying to get better and sound better and be confident you're playing. Mate,
can I take a tick on my end and say Tommy Emmanuel's from Australia? He's Australian.
Yes. Yeah, he was one of the nicest guys. We sat at the bar after it was a KIFM show, and he came there, and I didn't know much about him. I was pretty young, and so we just started talking. It ended up being at the bar later on, and he knew a bunch of Samoans in Australia, the Maori tribe and all the Samoans. So, and he had actually been to Samoa. So we sat there and drank beers and talked about Samoans, and he's just one of the nicest cats. And he's one of the best guitar players I ever saw live. He's just amazing. Yeah.
And I guess for our viewers as well, we're Patrick Yandall here. Your Samoan background.
Yes.
You want to give us a little bit of a detail? So your parents are born. So your father's Samoan,
American Samoa, and my mother is from the British side of it, and her dad was actually British. It was kind of cool talking to him on the phone when I just remember I never met him in person, but we used to talk to him on the phone. He had such a thick British accent, and I just used to love listening to him talk. But that's my background. So the Samoan Isles. Again, I was born in the States, grew up in Michigan. So the only kind of Polynesian flavors I got was from my dad, and he was always playing music. Either he was playing it or he was listening to the Polynesian music or some of the the swing jazz, which kind of crept into my playing later on, but I love playing that stuff too. So.
Isn't it amazing the influence of our parents playing that music and how it's shaped you today?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, at first, I when he first started playing, I'm thinking, that's old folks music. But then, you start hearing guys just swinging like George Benson and guys like that, and it's like, okay, this music's got a whole bunch of substance to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Mate, so you moved to sorry, is there a learning experience required for building music? So moved to San Diego in 1980, landed opportunities playing with musicians and important contacts. Michael Verta, Michael Palo, and Carl Evans Jr. from
Fatburger,
Fatburger, which is an awesome group as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
great guys. Yep. Yeah.
Amazing. And again, just that early collaboration with all these artists have, influenced you, obviously to today. And what's something that you remember quite profound about those times with those guys? What would be one or two things you could take away from it?
Yeah, you mentioned J. Michael Verta, great keyboardist, great producer, and just a good guy. The reason why I hooked up with him, because that was my first really big record deal, was with Brainchild Records, and he was on it. And when I got signed, the owner of that label just happened to walk into a club I was playing in San Diego, and he brought me over to his table and he said, hey, I have a record label, and would you be interested in doing some work for me? And it was Dean Whitney of Brainchild, and he had come, I did some research as soon as I got done talking with him that night, and he had Kill Away on the album, and J. Michael Verta, Greg Vale was on the, Richard Smith, just a bunch of cats I really respected. So I ended up getting with him, and he agreed to executive produce an album for me. And he said, hey, J. Michael Verta needs a guitar player for, this series of concerts. Would you be interested? And that's how that started, playing with him. And, from there on, I had met Michael Paulo through different things. And then one night he was playing in San Diego, said, hey, come do the guitar work for me. And he actually doesn't live too far. So we always talk about getting together and doing more projects together. But then this COVID thing started and kind of put a damper on everything. But that's how I hooked up with him too. So everything started coming together after I did that Brainchild Records album, Lasting Embrace. And that was released in 1997.
Wow. Yeah, what a catalog. What a catalog, man. Well, let's go to that. 24 releases since 1994. And obviously today we're excited with your current album release, Rouge River, which is brilliant, mate. 24. How does someone put it together? I mean, what a resume. You just you print them out, but you know what? It's not just about printing. Your each album has its just so uniquely, orchestrated and constructed. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's just something I do. I've always, when I decided to do this as a profession, I wanted to approach it as a job. So every morning, wake up, maybe work out, eat breakfast, but I'm right in the studio, and I'm either doing guitar session for somebody, or I'm composing new tracks for a new project. And, I've been very fortunate over my years, like you brought up early, that my stuff has been used in TV and some film, and that's really kept me going. And the session work too, just so I didn't have to depend on the live performance stuff so much, where I could be home and working on music and doing what I love every day. So again, every morning, get in the studio, work for hours and hours on either new project or session work. So that's my day. And, it ended up, a lot of stuff that I do for a film or TV, a lot of it doesn't get used. And it's like, well, I like this song. Well, it seems like it'd be good for an album. So a lot of stuff would come out on my future releases.
For sure. But one of your loves is playing live, is getting out there and actually playing live with the band and, and making that happen. And what's the penalty right now without being able to do that? I mean, have you thought, I know it's not just you, but the industry as a whole, not doing live stuff. So they've moved into this sort of platform and trying to do some live virtual. What do you think about the whole virtual thing? Getting some musos together and doing a live concert on the stream. What is that?
Yeah, I've been working on that. We did one video with, I did the session work for a group called Under the Lake, their new album, Your Horizon 2. And we did did that kind of where it was put together, where we did our parts live and then it was put together as a performance. But he's, there's these, like you say, with these formats, he's delving into some things where we could actually all be together on the screen, kind of like the Zoom thing, and perform live, or this is the first time I heard of the one we're using today, the Yard.
StreamYard.
StreamYard. Sorry about that. I was trying to read it off the screen. Yeah, but yeah, something like these programs, we could maybe get together a concert and
For sure.
hopefully it happens for us, or or maybe do one with my band and get it out there also.
Absolutely. Hey, just on that point of the Smooth Live Show with Patrick Yandall, as we get comments, are you okay? We'll share them on the screen there, but we just quick on Saray Eli Tuma, love the show. You've got Joe Aldez enjoying the show from Colorado Springs. Thanks, man, for joining us. It's
love
great.
That city. That city's beautiful. My son played lacrosse against one of the schools, colleges there in lacrosse, and my wife went and stayed there, and we've been there quite a few. We had some friends there we used to go visit, and that's a beautiful city.
Wow. Okay. Well, I haven't been to Colorado Springs, but we did New York. Well, we did America, New York, Vermont, New England.
Beautiful
Vermont.
area. Yep.
Yeah, beautiful. So 24 releases, 2020, Rouge River. Really excited about the current album, 13 tracks, 13 songs on obviously on the album. Before we go into that, so Grammy considerations, if I can just jump a little bit, because I wanted to build a bit of a platform here. 2016, it was Ethos. 2017, as I mentioned earlier in the opening, it was Journey Home. Yeah. And 2018 was 10 South Riverside. How does that, as an artist, resonate within you? Grammy consideration, all the hard work you put in. What does it mean? I mean,
Yeah, it's nice, but it's kind of the first phase of the Grammys where they've got a whole big, huge group of artists to decide who's going to be in the final 5. So as nice as it is to be in that first huge group and get your release okayed by the committee this will be considered, then the next being in that final 5, which I have never done yet, it'd be nice, but it's still nice to be in the mix and have people vote for you. And, people will contact you that are voting members and say, you got my support. I really like your album. So I've had a lot of people that are exactly that, voting members, and say, hey, I'm voting for you. So hopefully you get in there. But to be in that final 5, that takes a lot.
Well done. Congratulations. That's
thanks.
Well, I mean, I think that it just goes to speak the fact that you've had 24 releases. So Rouge River, how did the album come about? Tell us a little bit about your thinking behind it.
It's actually a city in Michigan, River Rouge, and I turned it around just to play on it. But I went to college in Central Michigan, and I have some really good friends that came out of being there. Some of my dorm mates and from River Rouge, and I got to stay with them on holiday and used to go to their cabin. Just really good guys, and so the whole album's kind of centered around Michigan themes, like Bay City Rollin'. That's the town I grew up, is Bay City. And I don't know if you remember the Bay City Rollers.
I do,
remember
yes.
That group? They were named after our town. They took a map and they threw a dart at the map, and it actually landed on Bay City, Michigan, and they named themselves the Bay City Rollers. So in our town, that's like the claim to fame is they used to have a big mural on a side of a brick wall, the Bay City Rollers. So that's where that track came from, Bay City Rollin'. And again, all the other titles it's kind of based around Michigan themes, Chippewa, that's Central Michigan, and the tribe that's very predominant in Michigan. Michigamaa blues, that's the Indian tribe there that used to call Michigan Michigamaa. So that's where that tune comes from. They were there first and they called it Michigamaa. So again, the whole Michigan theme thing is in there. Livonia, that's another city in Michigan also. Live on Livonia, another track that's on there.
Right, yeah. So it's interesting. So it's obviously close to the heart. It resonates, really well. There's obviously a place from where you're fond of, from where you come from, or where you were sort of spent a lot of time in. I also, so how did Sunlight come? So the current release single is Sunlight. So, and I know that's a relationship of what's the tagline behind the Sunlight?
Yeah, not so much Michigan, but it's. I wrote it for my son. It was the whole, even the little rap section. If you listen to it, it's about being a father. So I thought a lot of people out there can relate to it, and it's just about being the light for your son and trying to show them a way that they're going to be, successful and happy in this world. More to me, it's more about being happy in the sun and, and the sunlight, sun, just having a bright disposition about this world, even with all the stuff that's going on.
Wow. It's amazing. Well, so we've got Sunlight, which I'd like to play. We're going to do a share on the YouTube classic there. Bay City Rollin', just a couple of picks there. One Man Flint, Zug Island, Can You Dig It? Yeah. And I love A Safe Place. You've got the xylophone going on.
It's got the old, again, one of my favorite players is Pat Metheny. So that tune's kind of in his, vein, the Pat Metheny sound a little bit of some of the earlier stuff I used to really like listening to of his.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, how about we go with your current single released from the album, Rouge River, and it's Sunlight, here with Patrick Yandall on the Smooth Live Show. It's great having you. You're looking great.
Thank you. You too. You're staying in shape even with the COVID stuff. You're looking good, man.
We're trying, man. We're trying. Hold on, we'll put this through. Sunlight here with Patrick Yandall. Where are we? I think it's here. Tower Soul. Yep. Was it? We'll come back to that one. I think. Hold on a sec. We'll have to come back to that one, mate. So maybe you can do a live classic one on that one. Yeah. Yeah, come on, man. That's great. I had it all paired up. I'm just wondering where it went.
Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to play live today. I was telling you, I just feel more comfortable when the guitar's in my hand, and I just want to have one in there. So,
well, you know what? When you got the guitar there, you go for it because that's you. And I mean, look, you don't even think about it. It just looks so seamless when you're playing. It's just it's just magic. Magic.
Even just sitting around watching TV at night, I usually have one in my hands. So it's just like part of me. I feel kind of naked unless I have one sitting on my lap. So.
Yeah. And absolutely, mate. That's awesome. We'll come back to that. But how about tell us a little bit about so obviously Motor City, Michigan. Tell us about why you went back, obviously to childhood. You mentioned about it, but who's playing on the album? So who are some of the artists that you've got in? Are you doing a lot of the work yourself?
Yeah, the past 5-6 albums, I think I did all the instruments myself for those. And before that, I'd have other guys come in. Like I said before, when I was back in 2004, I went to New Jersey, and I was signed to a label out there, and I did 2 albums for them. And the first one was called From the Ashes. And I went to Tony Bennett's studio in New Jersey and recorded with Randy Brecker. Will Lee was on bass. Just a whole bunch of named guys we got from that area. And it was kind of nice, being from the West Coast, to have these heavy East Coast guys. And Brecker was one of my, growing up, I was a huge fan of the Brecker brothers. And then with Will Lee, was on the Letterman show and a whole bunch of other stuff. And he was one of the most recorded bass players for a while. It was an honor to have those guys come and play my project. And so, back then it was cool. You could have a bunch of guys come play on your albums. But for the past 6, I got into production and really honing my skills, even becoming a little bit better bass player, not as good as most of the cats I play live with, but, being good enough where on the record it says, I can sit back and think, that's cool. It works, it works for that, and have my guitar and even the keyboards, I've played with some amazing cats like Kevin Flournoy and had Scott Wilkie, a whole bunch of other big name guys that I've heard them enough where, so I'm recording, I try to keep them in mind how they might approach something, and sure. I can't play like them, but at least how their thought process, listening to them all these years, I try to apply that in my production work.
Yeah, right. Just Joe Aldaz says we need to hear Cruisin' Kahia.
That's from Ethos. Yeah, that's a lot of people like that. And if you've ever been to Kauai, that's the main highway over there. So
I've been to Hawaii though. I love that's just gorgeous. The Ethos album's great. My Sanctuary, I think it is. It's just sensational. Also, Fred Yandall, he from Bay.
My brother.
That's your brother, is it?
Yeah, he was my best man in my wedding. He's one of my best friends I've ever had. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Well, how about I definitely got queued up Bay City. So how about we give that a crack and put that on? So that's your part of one of the tracks off the album of Rouge River. And whilst we're doing it, I'll find out the Fine Sunlight because that's so important.
Right on.
On there. So Bay City Rollin' with Patrick Yandall.
Cool.
Hey, we're back on the Smooth Life Show here with Patrick Yandall and Bay City Rollin'. Classic number.
Thank you.
Just brilliant, mate. Really, really, absolutely brilliant. And I think I found Sunlight as well, so we can play that a little bit later.
Cool.
But just beautiful, just the sound, the groove, the vibe that's going on, and certainly it's a natural.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Natural fit. We've got basically rolling. Can I go back and pick some of your favourites? I want to just go back and look at some of your catalogue, and maybe you can just give us a couple of words on each. But 2002, Back to the Groove, and one of my favourites on that one is Dr. Smoothie. So again, a great time, great period of obviously sounds. 2006 the release, Samoa Soul, Funkin' for Jamaica, and Samoa Soul, obviously. Yeah. What's the direction there? I mean, obviously that's where you're from, but you've got that real close tie to Samoa and so on. But the flavour of the sounds.
Yeah, definitely. Like I was telling you earlier, my dad being in the Army band and having all these instruments around, he would listen to some jazz, but he'd also listen to Polynesian music. So me growing up, I really listened to a lot of R&B. Growing up in Michigan, you listen to a lot, Stevie Wonder, the Motown theme was there. Just a lot of great R&B music coming out of that state. So it's just I just wanted to do a tune that kind of had the funk, and plus hopefully my guitar has a little bit of that island flavor in it when I was playing, doing the Samoa Soul. And again, that's why I covered. I haven't done a ton of covers in all my albums, but Funkin' for Jamaica was a tune that we just loved growing up, and I covered. And Tom Brown was one of my favorite players back then, so that's where that came from, that cover. Yeah, right.
2009, your music recognition with Smooth Jazz Industry, A New Day, Urban Flight.
Yeah.
That
was an album I did. Keyboard player, very good keyboard player, producer out of. He was originally from San Diego, Mark Perucci, and him and I played in a few bands around here, some top 40 bands in San Diego, and we always vibed together good. We had our similar interests, and that was one of the few albums that that I released on my own record label that I didn't totally produce. He had a huge hand in the way that album sounded and came out, and that's where that single did very well, especially when remember like you were on Live 365. There was a lot of stations that a lot of stations, and a lot of them picked that up. So all of a sudden I was noticing the charts back then. It was in the top 5. It was like, oh my gosh, here it is in the top 5, and thanks to all the stations on 365.
Yeah, so, wow. That's still going? Because I know in Australia they cut ties a few years back with Live 365. Is that still happening? No.
Oh, well, that's good to know. Because I wanted to get a bunch of different stations. This new single, the Sunlight. So I'll try to look up, see some of my old contacts are still around.
Yeah, I believe in the US and UK. The UK is definitely 365, but in Australia we're out. But then we move into the Window, the Tower of Soul. So we're number 1 for 5 weeks straight. So we talked about earlier is hitting the charts there. Smooth Jazz now top 3 charts there, and obviously Live 365.
Yeah,
Tower of Soul, it just picked up. It just gave that sort of fluence of the smooth jazz flavors. It was just sort of like the right timing. What year was that? That was in 2010. There was Tower of Soul.
Yes. Yep. Thank you for reminding me. I had to think about that. But that was the first album, or the second album I did for Intervision Records, and that they're out of LA, and they've got a bunch of really great musicians that I've played with over the years, like Will Donato, the sax player, is on there, and he's actually got a new album. I did the guitar work for one of his new tracks, but Intervision, that was a cool group to be with, because we'd we'd all get together for a live performance at a place up in LA and every year. And it was just, yeah, really good experience with those guys.
Nice. Hey, big thanks to Nathan Brown online, listening from Southern California. Love the new project, man. Well
He's got a new single out called Oxygen that I did the guitar work for, and he's another Michigan brother. And for all my live performances, almost all that he could, unless he was out on tour with somebody, he's come with me. So the concert videos you see on YouTube, he's usually on bass for me, and he's played with me since the 80s, and he's a good friend, man. Great bass player.
Right. Yeah. Fantastic. So let's leap jump to 2014. Soul Grind. Now I remember this clown. I actually got a signed copy of your CD. Yeah. So Soul Grind, My Lady, and Soul Grind. And I noticed there's a musical change. Like there's a real, not a, can I say a real assertive sound, real definition on that album.
Definitely. And that was the first album I did for Intervision. And, I approached that album with a little bit like one of my big influences was Larry Carlton. And I got to meet him at a few jazz festivals I played at. Again, one of the nicest cats you'll ever meet, and one of the most talented guitar players ever. Right. And I grew up, trying to learn his licks. And I come from pretty much a blues background based out of my guitar work, just being into rock, coming up. And Larry Carlton, he's got that blues thing. And as soon as I heard him play, mixing blues with jazz, I thought that's the direction I really want to go in. And that's really comes out in that Soul Grind. I even covered one of his songs, Room 335, on there. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Great, certainly great album. 2016, Ethos, and I was right on the money there. My Sanctuary and Friday Groove. Certainly all the tracks. I mean, look, there's a beautiful lineup, but there's the ones that stand out for me in regards to flavors. Yeah. You talked about Larry Carlton and taking one of his tracks, Room 335. Epiphone Custom 335. Mm-hmm. You've sort of been renowned to have played in guitar-wise.
Yeah, that's one of my main axes. This is actually an Epiphone 335, not the Gibson, but I had the Gibsons, and this neck actually just fits my hand better. So that's why you'll always see me with an Epiphone usually, or there's an Ibanez I have, that the blue one that's you pictured in one of your promos. That's with my Ibanez, and it's actually got the same neck as this one. So that's why I get them. I usually like expensive guitars, but I'd rather have one that fits my hand and I can play to my way I feel good,
So the $1 million question, Patrick, is how many do you have?
Well, that's a funny question, because up on these walls here, I have a bunch, but everything I have now I use for sessions. So I used to have probably 20 guitars. Now I'm down to probably 10 or 11. But when I had 20, a lot of them were just sitting around, and I've got a lot of friends that collect guitars, and it's just, we talk now. I just got down to the point where, okay, I'm going to have the guitars that I use and not one sitting around just for show. I'm not into that anymore. So
yeah, sure. But hard to get away though, give away, something that's so close to you.
Yeah, so, definitely. But that's why the ones that I really, really connect with, I still have, again, because I use them in session work and the production stuff that I do.
Okay. Yeah. Can I go back and actually play Sunlight, from your
sure.
Rouge River? Give you time to have a glass of water there, but I think it's only fitting that we play the first single on the album there, and I do apologize about that.
Yeah, sounds good, Paul. Thanks.
Sorry, man. So with Sunlight with Patrick Yandall and the Smooth Live Show.
It's a boy, father has to shine the light. It's a boy, it's a crowd, he has to teach us right. Being a father may take all your might. Father, the son, always be the son.
Yeah, the Smooth Live Show with Patrick Yandall and Sunlight from his latest album, Rouge River. Sensational, mate. Absolutely sensational.
Thank you.
You know, it's interesting, mate. As I always say to our guests on the show, I mean, I'm not a muso, but like a musician. But, you know, I've been broadcasting for 20-odd years. But when I watch you play and, you know, like playing Sunlight and just the story that's going behind, you know, you playing on the guitar, like it's just amazing, you know.
Thank you. It's like I told you earlier when we were just talking between ourselves. It's funny when people say stuff like that to me, but I always tell them it's the only thing I know how to do. So I better do it at least halfway decent, because I'm in trouble if I don't.
Absolutely, and it's an absolute credit. But you can really sense the essence of the soul when you're playing, and it's just phenomenal, mate. Absolutely crazy. The feedback's just through the roof, because Joe Aldaz, he's going, yes, smooth jazz, great tune, Sunlight, love it. So
thank you, Joe.
You know,
I want to come back to your city one of these days and visit.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? When we're ready to go. How long? You know, another 6 months, 12 months. I mean, whatever. But
yeah, we'll see, huh?
Yeah, it flows. I noticed Zangy Records, an independent artist. Tell me a little bit about, say, some of the people perhaps watching today that they're an artist, they want to, or muso, they want to get out and do something on their own. What are some feedback you can give some young budding artists wants to become an independent? You know, what would you recommend? A couple of tips.
One thing that struck that I'll never forget, a keyboard player. I was doing some session work for a group on Capitol Records back in the 80s. And the keyboard player was a good friend of mine. And I was kind of getting into starting to write a bunch of stuff of my own. And he said, look, if you want to make it in this business, you have to have songs. You have to have your own songs. So he said, just if you can, focus in on that. So every time these young kids, it's been kind of cool over the years, kids will get a hold of me through social media or something, say, do you have any advice for me? And then one thing I say for sure is, write some songs, write your own songs, because it's fun to play in a cover band. And I enjoyed that part of my upbringing, playing in some cover bands, but, just playing your own music. If you want to be a professional, I just think you need to write your own music and get it out there and work with it that way. Yeah,
sure. No, absolutely right. I mean, obviously, going within sort of record labels and so on, the promotional the promotional capabilities and the spread and so on. But independent, you have a lot more that you can do yourself.
Right.
On promoting, I mean, it's a tireless job. You're in the studio all day. You're producing music and so on. But then you've also got to do the promotional element behind being an independent artist. You do all that yourself? I mean, obviously, I see you doing it, but do you get anyone else involved?
Definitely. Over the years, I've promoted a lot of stuff myself. I've always had a hand in that, but over the years, especially on different labels, there've been people, the Gorovs and everybody that does radio promotion out there, Leibovitz and Dave Kunert. There's been guys that have worked on my stuff over the years, and they're experts at it, and they're calling. Back when radio was smooth jazz radio was everywhere, the land stations, the hard stations, that's when you really needed it. But these days, it's starting to become a different kind of animal to me, where social media is such a big thing. If you can get somebody getting your stuff out to all these different groups in social media and the people that do that for a living, to me, it's changing a little bit, and you can do a lot of your own promo. I mean, between Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, you can really, when you release it, you can really do a lot of your own stuff. So
for sure. And it's opened up a lot of channels, hasn't it? Yeah. Headliner with Ramsey Lewis, the Michigan Jazz Trail.
That was nice.
Amazing.
It was kind of interesting how that came about. They had gotten me to be one of their headliners for that concert series. And when I wasn't sure about it, how big it was and everything. And they actually sent me a picture of a huge billboard that was on the freeway in Michigan. And it was me and Ramsey Lewis. And I thought, well, gee, I'm glad I played this, because, to be on a billboard with Ramsey Lewis, and it was an honor. And he actually played a different night than me, which I was bummed at, because I actually flew in to do the concert and did it, but I missed his show. And, God, I wish I could have saw him. He's one of my favorite keyboardists of all time. But I missed him. But, that's how that came about. And that was a huge jazz festival that I'm not sure they'll have again with everything. I'm hopefully everything will rebound and it'll come back around. But that was a really nice concert.
Yeah, man. I saw something on Facebook the other day about the potential new festivals. They have like these little makeshift platforms, and everyone's sitting on a table, and hundreds of these platforms. That's like the new type of festival moving forward, for live concerts and stuff like that.
Right.
Isn't it amazing? We missed it, but everyone, we're so looking forward to being able to get back and do live and catch up, and I
miss that. I really miss the live shows. There's just, I know that's how we've got to do it now. On the platforms like this, but being in front of an audience and just, I don't know, you just play harder and you play more from the heart. There's just something about that action. Sometimes you watch that show, America's Got Talent, and you see the comedians performing to nobody. I don't know how hard enough being a musician, but a comedian doing it, I'm just thinking, geez, how hard is that? Yeah, I really miss the live shows. I really miss playing at the festivals and in the venues and the clubs and everything. So.
Yeah. And look, we're in conversation with national recording jazz artist guitarist and composer Patrick Yandall, a Smooth Live show. If you just joined us, I want to can I just jump back? Is that all right, mate? 10 years. Just go back to 2010 and Tower of Soul. I want to play that song because it's just certainly one of my faves, and I think
thank you.
another flavour of Patrick Yandall. Is that all right?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
All right. So this is from the Window album, 2010, and it's the Tower of Soul with Patrick Yandall. That's just one of the many hits.
It brings back memories of it. I haven't heard it in a while.
I can see there you're strumming a little bit, and I'm thinking, oh, cool, man. Do it. Knock it out. Get rid of the video and put on.
Yeah, some of those I stopped playing a while back. So it's just like, oh, geez, how do you play that?
So I love about the Smooth Live Show. It's about showcasing the brilliance of an artist like yourself, Patrick Yandall. It's amazing. And yeah, look, Smooth Jazz now, top charts, #1, Live 365, you name it, and it's just the exposure is profound, mate. So absolutely sensational, man. Really, really good.
Yeah,
so what is surprising about Patrick Yandall? Now, I'm coming to the nitty gritty of the show, right? So this is now. Come on, man, you've got to let go and let us in a little bit more.
Yeah.
What's surprising about you, man?
Just my wife makes fun of me. She'll say people think you're so cool, but they don't know how goofy you are. So I am. I'm just, I'm a musician. I've played on a lot of different stages, big and small, and over the years. But I don't know. I don't know if it's the Polynesian in me. You just have to have a good sense of humor, because some of the gigs I've played over the years, it's just they've been some tough ones, and people say some mean things sometimes. And you just have to have a good sense of humor. So again, I've been pretty goofy from my whole life. I take music very seriously, but everything else I kind of take with a grain of salt, just because it helps you get through. Especially being a musician and being it professionally, you have to put up. A lot of the guys I know, they know what I'm talking about. You just put up with a lot of grief, a lot of sadness, but you keep pushing through just to be able to do this for a living, to play music for a living. You have to have a good sense of humor and be kind of goofy. So that's something about me. A lot of people that know me know I'm goofy, but not a lot of people that have just listened to my music over the years.
Yeah. Okay. You're I guess like anything, they say that if you're good at something, there'll always be an attack, there'll always be some slander against. So hence it's just about what you're able to put together, and you need tough skin, right? That's what they say. So.
Definitely over the years, I've had to have it, so, but that's, what's that?
You're from Samoans,
Oh yeah.
Tough skin.
Yeah. Junior Seau, who used to play for the Chargers, he used to bring a big group of his NFL buddies in to watch me play. And I used to ask him, hey, can you guys come every night so people can't be mean to me? He was a good guy. He was a good cat to have. He was always in my corner and always offering anything you need, just let me know. So, yeah.
Right. Social media. So how do people get hold of your music and they get a hold of the current CD? Rouge River.
Yeah, it's on iTunes and Amazon and all those other ones that are out there. It's on, and it's on all those streaming platforms, Spotify and all that. So I know a lot of people use that stuff and put together their playlists, and it's been nice to see it on the playlist. But the hard copies of it through Amazon, I think, is the main one. You can still get a hard copy of the CD. Somebody kind of made a joke the other day. I said, hey, you want a copy of the CD? And they said, oh, you still make CDs? So I don't know if they're on their way out that heavy, or I don't know. It's still something you can hold in your hand and look at credits. And I don't know. I just, I still personally, I like that feeling of looking who played on a record, or just their credits, what they say. And,
Yeah. I got it from a group just last week, and they had an A4 Word file with all the credits, because it was obviously a digital download. Hence, that's how I got a lot of the music,
Oh.
It had all the credits and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, it's good to know, especially, but it's quite weird. You go into a radio studio now and you're in there with electronic, computer, although, it's all sort of different. But, so I did ask you a little bit earlier, but can I put this question to you again, Patrick? Who did you listen to today? What music did you listen to today? Or if you did listen, who was it?
I actually, I've been listening. It sounds weird, but I've been listening to my own music. I have a new album. When I put together these projects, I listen to them over and over on different like I listen to it in my truck stereo, or I listen to my stereo downstairs. It's a testing process. So again, that music that I'm into right now, that I have to listen to it over and over until I'm happy with it. So it's weird to say, but I'm almost complete for a new album, probably coming out in February next year, and that's what I've been listening to a lot of. But every once in a while, I'll take a break, and I still listen to like Grover Washington, or some of the guitar players I've had the honor of either taking a course with. Mike Stern. I really like Mike Stern. I kind of listen to him when he makes me go practice guitar seriously after I listen to somebody like that. Him or George Benson. If you listen to those guys and you think, I better go practice some more, they make you go back and practice. So.
I mean, you're good anyway, and you think, geez.
Yeah, guys like that, you just think, okay, I need to put in some more time. Even, Larry Carlton, you listen to him too, same thing. It's like, yeah, I better go practice, put some more hours in. So they're my inspiration.
Absolutely. I saw Mike Stern live with Jeff Lawler at Java Jazz, and the festival there was phenomenal. I mean,
just crazy good.
Crazy,
Yeah. Great guy. Yeah. Another guy that he's very humble, and you talk to him and he's one of the nicest. There's some of the greatest players I've met. They're just the best, nicest people in the world too. I was fortunate to meet him when I was young. I was just in high school and coming up, and I had a music seminar that I attended for a summer in Boston, and he was one of the speakers there and instructors. And he was just very pivotal in my wanting to pursue something in the jazz realm, just playing rock and jazz. I thought, well, there's the dream world right there, being able to play those two together. So
yeah. Wow. As we draw closer to the program, and I really appreciate your time, thank you so much, and it's been an absolute inspiration having you.
Had a blast.
see you live here. I've got a segment that I have on the show called Breaking It Down. Mm-hmm. And it's a one-liner per art or per person, and I like to give you a sentence. It might mean one or two words, or it could be a full a sentence of 100 words. But are you happy to play that? Are you happy to give that a go?
Sure. It got me worried now.
Breaking it down, and it's not going to offend anyone, I hope. But and then what we'd like to do then is, as to closing, is actually play the video, Mr. Magic, and I want to talk a little bit about that next.
Okay.
But breaking it down with Patrick Yandall, Jimi Hendrix.
Greatest guitar player of all time.
100%. Larry Carlton.
One of my big influence. Blues, jazz, nothing like it.
Sensational. And Steely Dan.
Greatest groups of all time.
Absolutely.
Them and Earth, Wind, and Fire, those two, to me, I put them on the same plane. They were above everybody.
Yeah, wow. Hey, just some feedback. There's my lovely wife, Adriana. She's great show, guys. She's comment. Thank you for that. Yeah. Sensational. And you've done that well, mate. There's been no that was sensational. And you're right, the pick of the crop, without a doubt. But I think the crop is so large because there's so many great performers, great artists.
Definitely.
There, and you're one of them, mate. So well done to that. So coming to the end of the show, Mr. Magic, I've been watching this video for days. I just love it because it's just, I love the way you've orchestrated the guitar. And, if I can say, if you don't mind me saying, Patrick, I interviewed Brendan Rothwell a few weeks back, and his guitar bassist from a very profound, prolific bassist. And he mentions in his review, he says, and I found it really interesting because, when you see a band and you see bass play and they sort of sit in a position, and, he mentioned about him being the instrument that stands out, obviously because he's a bassist, right? And it's him, it's his band. And I watched this, and for some reason with Mr. Magic, you have obviously re-engineered the song, and you've been able to put it into another perspective. You want to take that?
I know.
That's all right. Take it. It's probably Larry Carlton.
Sorry about that.
I'll edit it. I'll push it out.
Good.
Interestingly, Mr. Magic. So I guess the point is that, I think it was just really lovely seeing you and just your re-engineering or reimagining of this track. Obviously, originally composed or written by Ralph McDonald, William Slater, and released by Grover Washington Jr. in '75.
Yeah.
So can just give us a quick roundabout of the concert that we're talking about. Tell us a little bit about the concert and what was, I think it was some theater at San Diego Theater, Michigan Theater. I think.
Yes, it's the State Theater in Bay City. It's a historical building, and I've done quite a few of my concerts there, in the Michigan area, just because, for one thing, I've got a good friend that is in charge of booking acts there, and it's playing for a lot of people that I grew up with and stuff like that. But that Mr. Magic, when I've played that live, I've tried to change it up because so many people do that song and they try to sound the same way, that Grover did it. I don't, yeah. I just wanted to change it up and kind of change the harmonics of the actual harmonies of the chords up a little bit. And in that, when we played it live, it was Kevin Flournoy on keys, and he kind of likes to do that stuff too, where he just takes the keys way out. And we were goofing around with it before when we set up for that concert. And I said, let's do this in the second set, just for kind of, I think we finished up the concert with it, and it just came out right. I'm glad you like it, because I really like the way we pulled this off. And the guitar, again, I tried to change it up so it wasn't the guitar that was on the original track. I tried to make it just different, kind of fusiony, kind of, out, really take it out a little bit. So. Yeah.
Oh, you did, man. You absolutely did that.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I'm glad you like it. I'm sure some people think, oh, that doesn't sound like Mr. Magic. Well, I just wanted to do a different take on it. So.
That's Patrick Yandall. That's what it's all about,
being goofy.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? But that's what makes it so beautiful, because it's different. It's not the same, but the elements are. We give thanks to Groove for doing what he did. But you've been up to another purpose to it, and so look, we'll come back and thanks with Patrick Yandall in a minute. But let's play this one, Mr. Magic. And I think, what year was it? I think 2013, I think it was, might have been. But anyway, we'll have a look.
Yeah, quite a while.
Yeah. So let's check this one out here on the Smooth Live Show with Patrick Yandall.
Yeah, a funky one instead of the swing, all right?
That's Mr. Magic.
Thanks, Paul.
Unbelievable,
Thank you.
man. Sensational, mate. Sensational.
That was
Swag.
fun. Good memory.
Wow. Yeah.
My hair was a little darker back then.
Lucky you. Joe Aldez, thanks for the great show. Thanks, Joe. Thanks
Joe.
for jumping on and obviously participating in the program. With the Smooth Live Show with Patrick Yandall, national recording jazz artist, guitarist, and composer. I'm really enlightened, mate. It's taken 14 odd years to get you face to face. How about it? Can I hats off?
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Paul.
The great work.
Great to talk to you face to face too.
Absolutely, man. And I think, let us know that when, we'll continue doing it. If you're happy to come back online again and, say hi and shoot some music across, or you want to do something live, love to get you on board and do it again.
Definitely.
Nathan, a round of applause to you as well, mate. So fantastic. And also, they're coming through thick and thin. Enjoyed the show. Thank you, mate. Thank you, Nathan. And look forward to seeing you next time. But stick around. But as we say goodbye, Sunlight is your current release for Rouge River. The best of success. And in a last minute for everyone out there, any last note that you want to tell the world from Patrick Yandall? One last thought?
Just keep supporting musicians in any way you can. There's a lot of guys are hurt and women are hurting out there. So try and support them any way you can. Buy their music, support them online, and just keep helping out. Thank you.
Good on you, mate. All the best. Take care.